Sure, go on.
So I'm just asking if you if you think there's like some people here that, for example, accepted the challenge. There's like the 22 days challenge, right, or something like that.
Yeah, it happens. Happens. Not like a
Nice,
huge
nice. That's
amount,
cool.
but like a lot. Like, you know.
Even if it's one, like it's better than nothing. So like it's always good.
Yeah. And, I appreciate that it's a difficult thing to reconcile with. So I'm trying to be patient. It's not in my nature necessarily to be patient, but if I expect people to change, I should change myself as well, right?
Yeah, that's reasonable.
Yeah. So I try to be as
Yeah.
patient as possible.
Yeah, but there's like, especially the carnivores. I'm not patient with them. They're just idiots.
Yeah. Wow. Carnivores. Say no more.
Like, you probably know Jordan Peterson, right? And his daughter claiming there's so many health benefits. I freaking hate that when they start just speeding nonsense.
Yeah, he's known for making shit up, right? So when he says a bunch of percentages, he has no way of reaching those stats. He's just saying them because he feels like it. So being off the camp of facts, don't care about your feelings. He sure is talking a lot with his feelings, you know what I mean?
Yeah, true. It's like Ben Shapiro, but that's like a tangent. But like when you talk about Israel and Palestine, he's all about feelings. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing with like Peterson, I like some of his things, but for the most part, the guy just is inconsistent with the diet.
Yeah.
And then like he was this sort of not psychologist, but like someone in the air, and then had like this breakdown and had to take some things like you're not a real authority at this point, right? Because yeah, you cannot even like clean your room, but you're telling others to clean their rooms. Like there's a video where you can see clearly in the back, like his bed is like not tidy up. Like it's kind of being hypocritical, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's for sure. Sorry, I seem to have lost some of the things. There you go. Sorry. What about you? Are you like
yeah.
vegan or?
No, I'm not vegan. I do believe we should thrive and try to be vegan. And I would say that from practical reasons, even though they are not good excuses. But yeah, that's why like we have some conversation in the past. I'm here just because like you're alone. Otherwise, if there were more people, I would like to maybe just leave you guys trying to convince them because I'm kind of convinced right with the position.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I don't remember many people. It's unfortunate, but we just go through so many. So sorry, I can't remember having a conversation with you. Apologize.
And I was just bringing stuff, not to criticize veganism.
Yeah.
Just to try to establish some boundaries, like because back then we were talking about specific things, like with the definition like minimization of harm. Because I used to watch Joey Carbstrong, I like the guy.
Yeah.
And his mindset is like we should try as much as we can to minimize suffering. Because like for example, even when you farm some plants, inevitably you can kill some mouse and mice or whatever. And that's not a good argument against veganism. It's just like a fact that it happens, but like we can thrive for or try to minimize all these things. And then I was asking about, like what's the name, oysters and all like these things. Not to throw shade, but just to say, okay, even between vegans, there might be differences. Like some believe that even insects, you shouldn't eat them. Yeah. Others may agree that like it's okay to eat insects because they don't have a fully developed nervous system and they probably don't feel pain as we do.
The evidence, there are evidence for and evidence against there. So insects are a bit of a question mark, but like I'm not a biologist or whatever, so I can't say for sure. Like mosquitoes seem fucking sentient to me. They have like olfactory abilities. right? That's how they find humans, by smelling carbon dioxide. And seem to be sentient because they also have like all of these senses. So if the prerequisite to sentience are senses and a central nervous system, I don't know. But there is evidence against insect sentience, so I'm like remained, not making a hard decision. Like, in case they're sentient, we probably shouldn't like farm and kill them for food. We probably, if we can, should reduce crop deaths. I've been looking into it lately. It seems dire, frankly, that we would even be able to do that. Oysters really, really, really don't seem to be sentient, like, at all.
Yeah. But as you know, like there's some push. I think you're from, like myself, I think we are fellow Europeans, right? You're from Europe.
I don't disclose my location, I apologize.
Oh, no, that's fine. But as you know, like the European Union is pushing from like for insects. Like I haven't seen my supermarket where they were selling some stuff like that. I would just say like since we don't know exactly if even insects or bugs feel pain, people should avoid just farming them. But yeah, I just wanted to maybe take notes. So I guess like one topic. Sorry, go ahead.
No, also like the growth factors. People who like so willing to go so far beyond as not to eat fucking lentils. Just eat the fucking lentils. Like, what's going on there? You're willing to eat bugs, whom most people, except for in Thailand, I guess, find repelling to put in your fucking mouth.
Yeah.
It's really crazy. True.
That's a joke. The other topic I brought, now I'm bringing because I hope I'm not taking too much time. Like, if there's people that want to hear you, like, that's better. But it's like abortion. And I just think most vegans tend to be pro-life in the sense that they believe in sentience. But I would like to hear, like, your position because I forgot.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Are you pro-abortion?
Yeah, so...
Would you, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Do you want to finish the question? I apologize.
No. You can go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, we seem to have like a bit of a delay there. As a vegan, I value sentience. This doesn't mean that whoever is sentient, we have zero justification always in every context to kill them. That means that in some contexts it's justified, especially like if it's like necessary. So if you are on an island where for some reason there are zero plants but some sentient beings and you don't want to starve, right? Like, so fight or flight kicks in, or like self-preservation kicks in, and you go and kill some sentient beings to eat them, right? If there is like, for instance, just the ocean and you can't get anything from the ocean that you can actually eat except for, I don't know, fish and oysters and shit like that, right? So it's somewhat justifiable to kill sentient beings in that sense. You know my position on crops. It sucks. I really fucking hate it. On crop deaths, I mean. But like it's somewhat justifiable because it's the least horrific way to eat, right? But like to produce any food right now, animals are gonna have to be die, especially those animals that are like, they walk into danger. There is no stopping them, you know. So there was like a farmer here a few weeks ago, and horticulturist, I guess, and asked him, well, you grow plants? He said yes. So I asked him, do you kill animals to grow those plants? He said yes. I asked him, is there anything you can do to stop killing animals for growing plants? Is there anything that you like haven't tried yet and you can do to stop these animals without killing them, right? He said no.
Yeah.
And every plant farmer will tell you the same fucking thing, even the vegan ones, right? Like the veganic farmers. Yeah. Animals are gonna be fucking killed for crops. But
and I believe them.
Yeah, but the least amount, right?
Right.
So that's my position on sentience. In some contexts, it's justified to kill a sentient being, but we should do everything that is possible to prevent that, right? So in case of pregnancy, before the fetus becomes sentient, really don't give a shit. For all I care, all of them should be aborted. I don't care, right?
Okay, I disagree, but okay, that's your position. I disagree, but so yeah, continue. So you're not talking about sentience. Would
Yeah.
you say that after their sentience, would it be wrong to kill
I would say
what?
I would say that's when it becomes morally relevant, right? So the fetus becomes
Okay.
morally relevant once it becomes sentient. That doesn't mean that there are no contexts in which it's absolutely fucking justified to get rid of even the sentient fetus, the way in other stuff as well. So depends on when sentience starts. Some say it's at 8 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever. Others say it's like at 24 weeks. Fuck knows. I think at 8 weeks it's just starting to grow some kind of nervous system. Doesn't mean it started being sentient then, right? But let's say it's at 6 weeks. At 6 weeks, a fetus is sentient.
Yeah.
Most pregnant people don't know at that time if they're pregnant or not, unless they're like fucking, checking. They're really, really trying to get pregnant and they're testing everything, right? Please,
Yeah.
no sounds. Kesel, thank you. Kesel, please. Let's finish the conversation and then we can address you, but without music, because that's bannable offense. Like I'm immediately supposed to ban you if you just play music. Do you understand? Yeah. So I would say if seriously.
Okay, I'm gonna mute this guy.
Yeah, I'm also gonna mute them. Let's just do the easy thing. So if at 6 weeks a fetus becomes sentient and a woman or like a pregnant person can't even know that they're pregnant and they don't want to stay pregnant, yeah, I think the fully fledged sentient being shouldn't be asked to go through torture just to save another sentient being. I don't think that's a reasonable thing to ask somebody, right? So, and by the way, I do consider unwanted pregnancy and even a wanted one torture, right? It's torture that can lead to death.
Okay, Postmore, I disagree, but okay, that's your opinion.
That's my
But, like,
opinion
would
after
you
talking
say-
to people who got pregnant and carried their pregnancies to term, even while wanting to do so. So for me, like, if I found out that somehow through like the Holy Ghost or whatever, I got pregnant and somebody told me, well, now you have to carry to term, I would fucking kill myself. That's just so much torture that I'm like absolutely not willing to go through it. Like imagine you were asked to go through all of these hard physical changes while absolutely not benefiting from it in any kind of way and not wanting to do it. Like imagine you're like absolutely against doing something and like somebody is making you to go through all of these harsh physiological changes, including like your entire body systems are moving around, and it takes like a year or two after the pregnancy to like maybe things come back into their own place, but probably not. You're probably gonna be changed by this experience for your entire life, physically, right? If you get to live, because a lot of people die during birth. So again, that's my position. That's my position after talking to many mothers, basically. Many people who wanted to get pregnant, had their babies because they wanted the children. And they say, yeah, it's like even if you want the child, it's fucking torture, right? Especially the few couple of months before birth. But if you don't want it, that's physical and psychological torture. And like, what for? For a being that may be sentient, maybe not? And why are we like prioritizing this newly sentient being over this fully fledged human with psychology and like all these wants and needs and like aspirations? Why are we prioritizing the one sentient being over the other? And we're asking, to the point we're asking the big, fully fledged sentient person to completely sacrifice themselves for this being that it could have been like even lost, right? It's one of those things that most pregnancies are terminated naturally. And that's the thing that we prioritize and not the fully fledged being. Why?
Look, we agree there's a hierarchy of value. Comparing, let's say, someone with more sentience to, let's say, the fetus. But,
no, sentience sentience is an on and off switch. There is no more sentience or less sentience. I'm just making the claim that this sentient being is maybe sentient, right? Maybe not. We have no idea when it actually becomes sentient. And this other being is also sentient, but on top of that, they already have these. Sorry, Zachariah, your mic is like really hot micing.
It's echoing.
Yeah. So
I would say, I just want you, because I just think for you to be more consistent, because like we agree on several things, but like if you don't really know, by the way, you believe in human rights to the point I think you also believe in animal rights, right?
Yeah, I think some human rights, if not all of them, at least the negative rights should be afforded to animals. It's more than that. I think the human rights, the basic negative human rights that we have, they are animal rights logically, because yeah, it's the thing that we have in common with animals. So. And all the positive rights are human rights. So the right to free speech and all of that. That's human rights because that's a human specific trait. But the negative rights, like not to be tortured, not to be killed, all that stuff, that's animal rights. That's sentient rights, I guess.
Yeah, makes sense. I just wanted to say, because if you're not totally sure, like it's a matter of being cautious, like similar to trying to minimize suffering, like say in crops. If you don't really know at that point if it's a human being, if it is, just to play safe. Because look, if there's a point where that being in your worldview becomes like an actual human being with sentience and all these things, at that point it has human rights, it has animal rights, right? So like, I just wanted to make you open your eyes to the thing. Like sometimes even if it didn't have sentience, I would say that we should be cautious, right?
Yeah, when it doesn't impede on like the rights of fully fledged humans, right? So it doesn't impede on my right to not eat oysters or to not eat insects. It would impede on my rights to not kill the animals for crops, right? Because then I and everybody else on Earth would starve. So I prioritize the rights of sentient beings, right? But also in a matter of context, in some context, some of the rights are going to be stronger than the other rights. So like the crop deaths really literally would wish that there was a way to scare away those animals in a way that we don't have to kill them. Literally think we should look for that way. But I'm going to prioritize the rights of human beings to not starve because like the animals who come for crops, they are like akin. I know they don't like mean this, right? They're just trying to survive as well. But like it's literally like somebody coming for your crops, and in a way that they are not going to stop until there are no crops left, right? So because they're going to multiply and shit like that. So in that case, I say, well, it's justified to... Some people would say that it's not even the rights violation of these animals because those animals don't have rights for our crops, right? But let's say they do, right? I would still justify killing them for the crops, because then it would be a rights violation toward humans. And it's not because humans are like more deserving of rights than the mice, field mice and whatever, and the gophers. It's literally because it's like unstoppable. So you have like two people, one of them, I don't know, is, for instance, mentally challenged, and he's got a gun, right? And he's about to kill a baby. You really quickly or slowly, whatever, have to make a decision. Well, am I going to stop the mentally challenged person? And let's say the only way to stop them, you can't talk to them, they can't really understand you, they're waving around the gun in front of a bunch of children.
Yeah.
And if you don't shoot that person, right, the children are going to die. And the children are the innocents here, the more deserving of rights. So sometimes it's just like not the prioritization of rights is a matter of context. But if it's like a mentally challenged person and they're just there, right? And the rights of the babies don't like fucking, not gonna be impeded, then just let that person be. But in case of like, but in case of like a fetus, if we say, well, prioritize the rights of fetus to become a fully fledged human, whatever, it comes at the rights violations of the person carrying that fetus. And those rights violations are dire. They're going to be tortured and possibly killed by it, mentally and physically tortured. So a no-brainer to me, unfortunately, with all due respect.
Sorry, what was the last part? Sorry.
Yeah, it's like I would choose the person who's gonna be tortured and possibly killed over they're like a fetus that isn't, we're not sure if it's sentient, but even when it's sentient, I don't think it deserves more rights than the person who's carrying the fetus. So, and those are competing rights, right? You like, if you prioritize the fetus, you're impeding on the rights of the fully fledged human. If you impede on if you prioritize the rights of the human, you sacrifice the rights of the fetus. I think it's like more justified to sacrifice the rights of the fetus because of all the uncertainties. If there was like a third way, I would love to hear it, right?
I would say it depends on the context, because, for example, this is a tragic example. Let's say an underage girl, she's raped, makes sense, you need to choose between the two, right? But if it's, for example, consensual, and then she changed her mind and wants to make the abortion, I think that's wrong, because she...
What do you mean by consensual? The sex is consensual? Because I don't think people who have sex necessarily consent to having babies as well, right? A lot of pregnancies result, even though you used all the precautionary precautionary stuff on the pill and the condom and whatever the fuck.
Yeah, but there's always this chance, right? And so we are adults and we know the consequences. So
not really. I think most people, when they have sex, they don't really think about pregnancy as a result of sex.
Yeah, but as you know, it's not because we are not fully aware. If I commit an action, I'm still responsible, even if it's voluntary.
No, I don't think so. So do you have a significant other, maybe?
Yes.
Yeah, so let's imagine that significant other is in a burning building. Are you going to save her? Of them? Sorry, I don't know.
I feel compelled to. I think there's duty, so I would try to save this person, yes.
Yeah. So what if she was the one who accidentally caused the fire? Are you going to save her, or going to say, oh, she deserves to die?
In this example, let me think. So she caused the fire.
Accidentally.
I would still try to save the person. Why not?
She accidentally caused the fire. She, left a candle for 20 minutes and the fucking, something caught on fire. And now she's in a fire and she's about to die. You're going to save her? Yeah,
I would still say she's responsible though, right? That's the thing.
That's not the problem. Whoever is going through an abortion, they're paying for it. They're paying for it with pain and suffering and all that shit. It's not an easy decision. Not almost never, right? Like maybe like a few people who are like, oh, she just don't care. I'm gonna get pregnant. Like nobody says I'm gonna get pregnant, and then I'm gonna wait for the person to become sentient, and then I'm gonna abort them just because I want to kill a sentient being. Nobody does that. Everybody like who has an abortion, they got pregnant by accident or whatever, like, or didn't have all the information. Like in the US, for instance, people have sex, they have no idea in that because of the religiosity and like lack of information about what happens when you have sex.
I think you're excusing them too much. Like there's no one. Some examples it might be the case, others like they know what's happening. Like come on. And I would just say that the way you talk about the fetus can open the door for arguments like let's put it this way. Let's say there's these like whatever small animals, like they are sentient, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I claim that if I don't eat them, for me it's torture because I really like meat, okay? And I just feel terrible.
Well,
do you think it's a good argument?
I think it's not analogous. Because
Okay.
I don't eat meat, I haven't eaten meat for 10 years. It's not torture. It's not torture. Like you can't analogize,
I know.
like being like in I don't know whatever, like anguish. Oh, I'm never gonna eat meat right now, or I'm not gonna eat meat right now. But I can eat those other things, like an abundance of other stuff, tasty stuff, to like actually being fucking tortured physically and mentally while going through the last months of pregnancy and labor and recuperation from that. That's actual physical and psychological torture. So...
You're using heavy words. Like I wouldn't say it's torture, okay? But like
well,
I'm just saying,
have you ever been pregnant?
No,
No,
unfortunately
then
not.
go ask fucking pregnant people how they felt in the past, or people who used to be pregnant in the past, how they felt in the last. And don't just ask one, right? Ask a few how they felt, and you don't even have to do that. Just look at what happens in the last months of pregnancy. The fucking organs are moving around your body. They're like making space for it. And then you go...
I know, postmortem.
Yeah. So how would you not consider that fucking torture? I don't know.
It's because maybe we have different definitions. Here's the thing. Like I know what's the, because like I'm a father, so I've accompanied my fiance. Like I know it's hard to go through it.
Yeah.
But I would say torture would be something like someone imposes or inflicts pain on another.
Exactly.
And I wouldn't say because
so
nature...
if the pregnancy is imposed on somebody, is it not fucking torture?
If the pregnancy is imposed,
if somebody doesn't want to be pregnant, doesn't want kids, but alas, they got pregnant, however the fuck, right? Through rape, through consensual, doesn't matter, right? They got pregnant, and now somebody's telling them, well, now you can't, you have to continue the entire fucking 9 months. That would be fucking torture.
I'm trying to actually, I'll try to see from your perspective.
Yeah.
Let's say it's torture, right? I'll try to argue that I'm imposing this not because I really wanted to, but because you're murdering a sentient being. So I want you to go through this to help save this sentient being.
Well, that would be a virtue. So some people who get pregnant through rape, they, for their own reasons, decide to carry on with the pregnancy. That's a huge fucking virtue, but it's not a moral obligation. Nobody has the moral obligation to go through torture for other beings to live.
I would say there's duties and moral obligations because I'm a Christian. I know you're not.
And this is not a duty. This is a fucking virtue, right? It's like it's not a duty to give a homeless person some money, right? Especially if you don't have much yourself. But it's a virtue to do it. It's a virtue to help other people that you didn't like. I don't know. When you don't have to, right? Sorry, I lost my English words.
Maybe we're talking almost about the same thing, but I actually would say that we have a duty to help poor people. So
I wouldn't.
I want to ask you this question: do you think there's duties? Because oftentimes you guys talk about rights. Do you think there's duties and we should follow duties?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So usually people would say, and maybe you disagree, but like, what's the major duty of men in general?
Oh, no. I mean moral duties. I don't mean all of that bullshit. Men don't have duties. They can do whatever the fuck they want. If they ever adopt duties, that's a virtue. I don't care. Like, those are like social norms. Nobody gives a shit. I don't care about that. Moral duties, yeah, you have
Okay.
moral duties, but you don't have like societal duties. Who gives a shit?
I would say societal moral duties oftentimes can just intermix a little bit. But let's say,
Hard
okay, we follow your
disagree.
worldview.
Hard to
Okay,
disagree
let's
that
say,
men have like some kind of inherent duty to do whatever the fuck. Hard to disagree. A man
okay,
can
let's
do
say we
whatever he
follow.
wants as long as it doesn't hurt other people.
I would say men have duties. Okay, in your
Okay.
worldview, I accept, like I respect your opinion. Okay, even though I
Yeah, then we
disagree.
disagree. That's
But
fine.
in
We
your
disagree on
worldview,
a like a very, very deep level.
probably.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: like in your worldview, men don't really need to go and be conscripted, fight for the country, and be in military, right?
I mean, so it depends. Do you mean like, I would say if men have those duties, women have those duties as well. So with like maybe there is like a human duty there, but like I don't know. I strive towards a world that doesn't have wars. So all of this shit just seems like temporary and cruel to me. Sending young
Look,
people, young men and women into like to fight, usually for like territory and stupid shit like that. That's just abhorrent to me.
look, we agree on that. It's just that sometimes, like, there's a crazy neighbor. Like, we see this happening in Ukraine, right? Where you need to defend your family and your country. And would you say then, like, men have a duty in general
No,
because
humans have that duty.
biology is just
So,
what?
like,
Sorry?
if a human can maybe have that duty towards the family, it really depends on them. I think it's a personal duty. I don't think it's a man-specific duty. A woman can shoot a gun, and if there are also non-binary
Okay.
folks like me who like, fuck all of this
But yeah,
gender shit.
but as you know, like, it's just on average. I'm not saying like there's obviously stronger women than men, but on average, men tend to be stronger, right?
Yeah, but like shooting a gun, you don't need strength for that.
But actually, guns, look, here's the thing, guns and these things are equipment. Sometimes there's heavy artillery and men need to carry
And then
that.
you
And so
can
like
use
they will
like
be more
not as
efficient.
heavy a gun, like there are plastic guns. You can, it's fine. But when also some
Yeah,
women
yeah.
are, strong enough.
But I'm talking, like specific situations like when there's war,
Look,
like
you
actual.
trying to derive from this that men have duties to defend the family. Well, maybe I don't know. Why? Why? Because they're
Look, my
stronger and like some guns are like too heavy for a woman to hold. Whatever.
look, I'm not.
Who gives a shit?
I do believe in duties mostly because my moral ethics come from Christianity, but I'm trying to just put that to the side for a moment. Like at least very naturally, like we would agree, like at least in society nowadays, people at least have this perception because like oftentimes men are mandatorily conscripted. It's not usually women. I would say that okay, you're consistent because you believe if that's the case, probably women should also be conscripted, right?
I don't know if it's
But I
called
would
country. I
say
think people, if people feel the duty to save the family, people that feel that duty. I think some people would call that a virtue as well. But I just, this conversation just like sucks to me because it's like gender norms with Christianity on top of it. I know you said you're like disregarding Christianity right now, but it's actually like really deep rooted in your gender norms. And
yeah, sorry,
I
I
just don't
don't.
give a
Yeah,
shit. I don't care. I think gender should be abolished. I
okay,
don't
that's fine.
care.
Okay, and by the way, like you guys oftentimes try to convince people for veganism, so I want to take your time. So like if you feel like you need to talk to others, I don't mind
Yeah.
leaving this for another time. But it was nice talking to you.
All right. Thank you, Lucy Tanyan. It was an interesting conversation, so I appreciate it. All right. What's up, CEO? What's up, that gay vegan? What's up, Davey?
Hello.
What's up, Mr. Moss? Oh, ni hao. How are you
Come
doing?
on, guys. You guys are shy.
I don't know. Oh no, most of them are vegan.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, I'm just saying hello. They don't have to answer. That's fine.
Since that's the case, like, and there's no meat eaters here. Like, I'm a meat eater, but like, I do agree with your position. So, if
Why are
there's like
you
a
then
meat
not
eater,
acting according to that position? If you have the moral position of vegans, you should act on it as well, right?
because I would use maybe a similar argument
Hmm?
that you were using for the fetuses.
Yeah, but I'm
So I
saying
do
there is no
believe
moral. I'm saying there is no moral obligation there, and you are saying yes, I agree with you. There is a moral obligation there. And if you don't agree
Sorry,
that there is a moral obligation, then you are not agreeing with vegans. Right?
I do believe there's more obligation to reduce harm towards animals, and the vegan diet is the best one, or the vegan mindset for that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's other factors, right, at play.
Like what?
Economic factors,
Oh, okay. But
just
like
like
veganism is
social
cheaper.
circumstance and pressure.
But veganism is cheaper, so
Yeah,
why
yes.
wouldn't you, like, if economic factors are important to you, why wouldn't you go to the vegan diet?
They are, it's cheaper, it's true. But for example, when you talk about torture, right, I'll try to use the same terminology just to, for you to understand. Like, for me, it's a torture to then stop suddenly drinking milk. So, like, I would need to drink the vegan equivalent, and it's
Sorry,
expensive,
if you stop drinking cow's
That's,
milk, you're gonna find yourself in a situation where you are physically and mentally hurt.
To be
That
honest, I'm
sounds
exaggerating,
really
okay?
pathetic. You
I
sound
know I'm
like
exaggerating, okay?
really pathetic when
I
you
mean,
say
the
that.
thing is, though, Lusitanian, is that okay? Lusitanian? Yeah, like
Yes,
you're playing a word game here because you're saying, oh, it would be torture for me to not drink milk and go for vegan alternatives. How so? Please define torture in this case. Because I defined torture in case of pregnancy, right? I gave you the specific classifications for which I call it torture, like the physical torture of all of your organs moving around, the mental torture of not wanting to go through this that exacerbates the physical torture. So please define to me, in what way would it be torture to you to stop drinking cow's milk?
Yeah, I'm exaggerating. Like, I don't agree
Yeah.
with your definition because, like, you even said that, like, willing pregnant women going through the pregnancy,
Yeah,
they
and
would
they
be
would
subject to
still
torture.
call it fucking torture if they are
Why?
like actually tell you what's going on in the last 2 or 3 months of their pregnancy. Like, I saw my friend went through pregnancy, really wanted pregnancy. She really wanted that baby, right? A few years ago. And I came to visit her at 8.5 months. And she could barely fucking move. And she had like an absolutely normal pregnancy, right? So that's not like a weird pregnancy or whatever. She could
I know.
barely move. How is that not fucking torture? Like, every second of her existence was incredibly hard.
Because I would say torture requires like an agent imposing physical harm to another.
Yeah,
and so unless
and
you're
if
telling me that the baby is torturing,
exactly, and if somebody wasn't allowed to abort a fetus, right, that would be an imposition on somebody. So therefore, it would be torture.
Yeah, but that's let's focus. That's a specific example because I'm talking about voluntary pregnancy, right?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Okay, yeah, you're right. I'm actually playing word games as well. I'm using, in case of wanted pregnancy, I should change my wording to something else. It shouldn't be torture. Yeah, you're right.
I respect you, and I'll also say I was playing word games. Okay, so yeah. Maybe you're consistent when you say that, okay, if this person doesn't want the pregnancy and is being mandated to keep the pregnancy going, that's a good argument. You could call it torture, I think. But I would argue that I do believe in rights of the sentient being like the fetus.
Sure,
and so I would say to prevent a murder.
I do as well. I believe in their rights. Although they're not born yet, so I don't know how we like actually afford those rights, right, to the unborn. But I think like it's a sentient being already, so it should, when it's a sentient being, it should be afforded rights. Those rights are just not we shouldn't like prioritize those rights over the rights of the fully fledged being that would be tortured for that being. And I'm using the torture correctly in this case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
move on to you and drinking milk. Let's move on to that.
Yeah, I was exaggerating.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I would say we should try to be vegan, but it's similar to, try to help as much as you can poor people. But I'm currently not doing it. So, you know what I mean? So I'll
not
admit
really. That would be like a virtue because you personally don't cause the homeless people or the poor people to be poor. So it would be a virtue for you to help them. If you want to help them, there are like really easy ways to do it. For instance, I once every 2 weeks or so, I go and like cook for people who need food, right? So it's like mass cooking.
That's nice.
Yeah, but like that would be virtue. You don't have to do this. Whereas like the rights violations to the farmed animals, they're a direct result of each and every person saying, oh yeah, I want that product, right? If nobody was wanting milk, the dairy industry wouldn't exist.
Yeah, and for me it would be better because I actually rather that industry to disappear and have like cheap vegetable options. Like for example, yogurts I only eat from Alpro, the brand, like the fucking meat eaters obliged now people to stop calling yogurts and milk, even though like people always call it coconut milk, for example, which is crazy. I would just. Here's the thing, like, we agree for the most part, but like, for example, regarding poor people, I do think we have a duty, right? I know we disagree, but for example, the capitalist would say, like Elon Musk, yeah, I'm a rich guy, like, if you're poor, I'm not to blame. But I would say rich people have a duty to help as much as the poor people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just from my world, like, you disagree, but like, I'm just trying to explain to you that I have these several things which I consider duties. And although it's true I'm lacking, I'm just trying the best I can to reach the destination. But I would put veganism in that same level, right? Not below.
You think you have a like, okay, hold on. So you think you have a duty to be vegan, and you think you have a duty to help poor people, but because you're not helping poor people, you therefore also not going vegan.
No, that's not. Here's the thing. I would say I have several duties, and I'll try to do the best I can, so I don't disagree with veganism. It's just like, again, I'm finite. I can only do as much. For example, if I'm doing the cooking, I'll try to do it vegetarian, right?
Sorry, can I stop you right there, Lusitanian? So what would actually incredibly impede you on the next time that you go to like a grocery store to move your hand slightly to the left or slightly to the right and grab oat milk instead?
No, I've done that, for example, soy milk, right?
Why wouldn't you do that every single time from now on?
I can be more specific. So, for example, we have a child, like me, my fiance and I, right? And we need to. Sometimes she goes to the supermarket. Sometimes it's me, right? And let's say she already brought the milk. It's just practical for me, to either eat the food she cooks or like the milk she brings. So I'm just saying, like, the circumstances, the environment. Like,
so let me ask you, and I'm sorry I keep stopping you. I just don't want to forget to address that specific point. What's stopping you from having like a conversation with your fiance?
I try to persuade her, like, to just.
You don't even have to persuade her. All you have to say, listen, I don't want to drink cow's milk anymore. It's incredibly cruel. I feel it's my duty to stop drinking cow's milk.
She knows that. She knows that.
Yeah. So what on earth is the problem with buying oat milk instead? Asking her to buy oat milk instead?
No, I think she wouldn't like it, and she's really, I wouldn't say against vegetarianism, but almost. And so, like, there's the cost factor, which, by the way, people can stop drinking milk. I agree, like, it's not the end of the world, even though it's like, for several years I've been doing it and then trying to change. It's a little bit uncomfortable, let's say, or not easy to do, but it's doable. But again, it's just practicality, like, it's cheaper, like, she goes to the supermarket. This way I can focus, for example, on doing my stuff, like, studies, or, for example, doing other things.
Wait, is she taking care of you as if you were her child as well?
No, we do like 50-50, let's
Yeah.
say.
So why don't you
So I
go to
do,
the supermarket and buy the fucking oat
I do
milk?
myself. So for
Don't say
example, when I
fucking.
go to
Don't
the
say fucking. All
supermarket,
right. Yeah.
when I go to the supermarket, for example, as I told you, I buy soy products like yogurts. I've sometimes bought, soy milk. But let's say I need to purchase milk for her, right? Like I purchase like the 6-pack and it's cheaper. And then suddenly the soy milk, it's over and I need milk, right? And I'll just grab one packet. Like, I know from your worldview this is wrong, right? For me, it's like, it's just pragmatic to do this.
from what you said from your worldview, it's also fucking wrong because you have the duty.
Don't say fucking again.
Hey, don't tell me what to say,
But-
Starboy.
I'm not telling you.
I'm just gonna mute
Don't
you.
say
You're
fucking
kind of
because
right.
my
I
mom
don't need
listen
this. I'm
and
gonna
don't
mute
like.
you. And if anybody else wants to mute him as well, there you go.
Yeah, I'll meet him too, because
We just don't need this kind of negativity here. I can say fuck as much as I want. It's just a fucking word. Sorry. Go on.
look, I don't mind postmortem saying
I
that
know.
because I know it's like genuine. She's not attacking me, so like, chill, bro. I'm not emotional, okay? Sorry, someone's identifying me.
By the way,
Yeah.
Lusitanian, my pronouns are they them, if you don't mind.
To be honest, we disagree also in this. I respect you
You
postmortem, but
disagree in
I
my
just don't
personal
follow that.
pronouns. You disagree in my identity. How can
No,
you
no, no.
disagree to
No,
my
no.
identity?
I'm not saying that. I disagree that I have to treat you by the pronouns you've chosen, okay?
Okay.
That's a really tangent, different topic. But
Okay.
I still respect you, although we disagree also with this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
to your point, you're right. Like, I'll be honest, I could do better. I'll just say that.
Yeah. I think you should feel more like it's your duty since you think that it's your duty. You know what I mean? If it's a duty, then do it. And you should have a
don't know if I
conversation
feel
with
that.
your fiance and tell her and like have a grown-up conversation. I don't know how to do that stuff, right? Talking like a grown-up is not in my vocabulary. But I think people who are married or almost married, they should have like grown-up conversations, right?
What I can tell, like, from my, and this is not an excuse, there's an explanation for the circumstance. So when I was not, you wouldn't call it vegan because I'm no longer vegan, I understand that. When I was like vegetarian, let's say, I would eat the diet, the vegan diet, or the vegetarian diet, I'm sorry. Not only that, I would also like force myself, instead of taking the car, because I would work or study in a different city. So I forced myself to take the bike, go to the bus, have longer travel time, just because I also believe we should protect the environment. I still do, by the way, even though I don't do the same thing right now. I would do that. Also, for example, would do other things. And like the several things I was doing, the duties I think I have, like it led me to a collapse. Basically, I'm not accusing veganism. Okay, by the way, like I truly believe vegan diet is like the most moral diet. All right. But I'm just saying, like, when I try to, in my life, tackle several things, I kind of collapse. Be it open source, be it, for example, veganism, helping the poor, which I think there's duties there. Maybe ones are more important than the others. But then, like, at that moment, I collapsed, and like I had to take medication, all these things. So there was a point where I was like, I'll stop focusing too much on my ideals. And to be honest, this probably sounds bad, but like my life, in terms of like, because I didn't care, I was more functional, I could do more things, and that's my situation right now. But I'll try to again focus on my ideals and my morals, and who knows, maybe I can be vegan again.
Okay, so I have good news for you, Lusitanian. Right? How long did you say you were vegetarian for?
Around 3 years.
And why were you vegetarian?
Because mostly sentience, I agree that there's moral value even in animals. Even as a Christian, I do believe they have souls, so like
Yeah.
we should respect animals as much as we can.
Yeah, well, that's a amazing stance from a Christian, frankly, so I appreciate that. And what made you not be vegetarian anymore? Again, you said you
Yeah,
collapsed,
just
but I would
practicality.
like some details, please.
Yes, so I would get. I'm not obviously saying this was because of veganism, okay, guys. I'm just saying like because I need to change the diet and also change other things, like as I told you, like the bike, and then take the
Wait,
bus
hold
and all
on.
these things.
Once you were vegetarian, you became vegetarian. Couple of months
Yeah.
after that, you're not changing the diet anymore. The diet has changed. So what the
Yeah,
hell
but for
was so
example,
hard?
For example, back then, nowadays I live in my apartment with my fiance, right? But like back in the time I was living with my parents, there's always the commentary, as you know, like social pressure. But I didn't care about it, even though like it was definitely affecting that part, the family relationship. Um, yeah. So, but there's one thing that happens today, as I told you, like when you do the 50-50, like it's just easier like when you have to cook all the time versus like you do 50% and the other person does 50%. It actually helps a lot. You maybe don't think it's just a good excuse, but like again, for like the
No,
activities or like the daily tasks I have, like to have someone cooking for you, like even if it's like 50% of the time, it's like something quite useful, right?
yes, I
I'm not
just
saying this is
don't
an excuse, again,
understand
just an
how
explanation.
you and your fiance, grown-up people, can't have the conversation and you can't tell her, listen, I feel it's my moral duty to not eat animal products anymore. Because that's what you told me. That's what that's the stance that you hold. And now what?
Yeah, but in this case, the
Do you
person
think
doesn't
she's
care,
going to
right?
leave you? Do you think she's going to leave you if you say, listen, I just want vegan food. Let's learn together how to cook vegan food.
No, she's not gonna. By the way, like I don't think she'll ever convert, unfortunately. I
Well,
would
she can
just
go
say, but
outside and eat her meat, but inside, right in home, when
no,
you're
no, I
cooking
know.
together or cooking for each other, you can just cook vegan. That's it.
Yeah, and sometimes it happens, right? Not all the time because she likes meat. But the thing is, like again, from a practical point of view, no, I'm not saying this is a good excuse, just like an explanation for why I do this.
Hey,
It's like
did your fiance
if she,
watch Dominion, for instance?
I don't think so, but I showed her like other type of videos, like as you know, we have like the what's the name when they just butcher and kill the animals. It's crazy.
And how did she react?
Poorly, right?
Yeah.
I also had
And
an influence on her. Like I influenced her to not eat as much meat. Like she doesn't eat as much meat as she used to. So
yeah.
that's a positive.
So that's still like a
And
little bit of
after
slaughter, right?
definitely the slaughter, yeah.
Yeah.
So in the end, like she doesn't really care about these things. Like she quickly forgets about it. I'm not like that because even when I'm eating meat, I don't really love it. Like it's like it's a little bit disgusting sometimes. But it's like again, like practically speaking, again, if you have someone cooking for you, like it helps, and then you have more time for yourself to do other things. It's
Here's the
just that this
thing.
person,
Here's the thing, Lusitanian. I'm not great with people. I don't know if we've noticed collectively, right? But it just seems when you are with a person and you are cooking for a person, cooking what they think is the right thing to do would be the right thing to do, right? So cooking vegan food for you would be the right thing to do, even if your fiance is not vegan herself. It just sounds like really seriously you have to have the conversation.
Look, sometimes it happens, right? I'm just saying, like, there's also some times where, and even my mother did that in the past, for example, cooking two dishes, right? I just don't want people to do that like they do
No,
it
she can cook one dish that
with a
is
good
vegan.
heart.
She can cook one dish that is
What?
vegan, that is nutritious, right? If you add tofu and TVP and seitan and whatever the fuck, all of that stuff, it's going to be nutritious and delicious. So she can cook one food. So here's the little secret. Non-vegan people can eat vegan food, right?
No, I agree, and sometimes it happens. I'm just saying, like, also it happens the case that they don't really agree with our mindset, and so they just want the meat, and so they don't really care, and they still cook the meat, even though, like, exactly, they can make with tofu or whatever. Yeah, it's complicated. I'll just say I'll try to do my best to change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
Let's see,
hope you do, because it's your moral duty, and it sounds like it's
It is.
yeah.
Especially, and by the way, like you were talking about Christians, oftentimes when I saw the Christians, even with Joey Carstrom, they tend to be either Protestants or what's the name? Anglicans, I guess, because it's UK. But like there's Catholics like myself, even like better, perspective philosophy. I mentioned the guy previously. He's a Catholic. He's also vegan, and
I
I
know.
really like his position. I would say he's a better reference than me as a Catholic. But yeah, there's like several things. Hopefully, I'll do better. Just put it this way.
Yeah.
There's more people here. I don't know if they want to have like a back and forth video as mediators. I don't know. I don't want to take like too much time because I've did it in the past, and I understand you guys want to convert people, so I don't want to take too much time.
Well, convert is a strong word, but sure, I want. Yeah, educate,
understand.
exactly.